Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Ellie's Studio, and I'm sharing with you this layout, a swimming layout that I created using the May kit and add-ons. So the labels, the May labels, I cut out the 6 that are applicable to the color palette that I'm using, and I created another swimming layout, that's a more recent one than this, based on the color palette or the colors in that diagonal stripe paper that you see on that top left hand corner there. So you've got blue, red, pink, we'll go with a salmony color, and then a mint and a gray. So those 6 colors are the colors that I am going to use for this black and white photo. And what I want to do is there are 6 swimmers. This is called a crescendo relay. So you have a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And they are going to swim a 50, 100, 200, 200, 150 again. And so I want each of the times of the swimmers in those little labels there. And I thought that I would do a strip down the left-hand side of the page that would be where I would house those labels with their times. And then the rest of the page was going to be the photo and the story. So again, I have pulled those colors, the pattern papers that come with the Good Times pattern paper, and I've converted the photo to black and white. So I have to tell you, this was 2016, so quite some time ago. This is a fun relay that this particular meet would always host. And so it was an honor to be able to swim on it, because you had to be the fastest swimmer in that age range, individual age range. So this is a rather long process video for a single page. It's 14 minutes. I don't usually make them that long, but there was a lot of humming and hawing over how I was going to do this. My original plan was that I was going to have that strip run, and the page was going to be a full 12 by 12 page, but what ends up being the design is that it moves horizontally across the page there. So I definitely am going to decide that I want to basically use 6 inches on the left, and then what ends up being a version of 6 inches on the right hand side. And so I'm not going to have that full strip. I'm just going to have that 8 1/4, I think, is the height of this pattern paper, and that it will still house the labels. It will just have less room for those labels. And again, I will type in off camera each of the swimmers' name, age, event that they swam, and time. Because it is an off event, I wasn't able to get not time. This is an off event, so I couldn't get their splits. So my idea here is that is very, very busy pattern paper, the one that says life is good, favorite. And so I want it to, you need to have some dominant elements on that in order to break that up and draw your attention to the photo, the title, and the journaling, the story, and not just that pattern paper. So I really like the way that red on the right hand side kind of softens that paper a little bit and makes it more about colored stripes than it does about the actual words themselves, because I'm not putting it on there for the words to say something to you. It's more of a subtle message. And so I also have decided that I really I want to tell the story of the crescendo relay, because it's an unusual event, and so I'm going to make this a flip page. So I've got double-sided tape from ThermoWeb, and I'm going to use my bone folder to just crease that, and you'll see in a second I'm going to get my punch, and so I'm going to create a flap, and the story is going to be underneath. And again, this is, I like to delineate, this is hidden journaling, but it's not hidden journaling with the intent of it's private and I don't want you to read it, so much as there isn't anywhere on the page to tell the story. And so this is going to be a way of me being able to have somewhere to tell the story of this photo. So I have matted the photo in pink, because again, I felt like it needed something to pop the photo off of the busyness of that background paper. And now I'm looking for a few more embellishments. I feel like it needs more color. I've got a lot of color on that left-hand side, and I need to bring some more of that color into the right-hand side of the page there. While I like the way that the red breaks up the words, I feel like I need something to soften the intensity of that redness there. So I will do that. There's a lot of shuffling and decision making in this particular layout. I struggled with how I was going to get the elements that I wanted on the page in a manner that was not what I had originally set out to do. It definitely went a very different direction than where I had started. So in this month's kit, you get these really awesome puffy borders. There's some with phrases and there's some that are just scalloped borders. And so I, again, chose the ones that were in my color palette that I was working with that were also relevant to the page. So it says little things like this is the red one. The next one is excited about this, getting things done, and a day to remember. So all things that are relevant to this storytelling. So I have a couple of the round elements and I want to incorporate those because that softens the rigidity of the rectangle. But first I'm going to break up that redness. So remember I wanted to soften that a little bit. I think that stripe pulls the left-hand side page over to the right-hand side page and then also softens that red there. So I am going to commit to this, but I'm not going to commit to this. So I commit to it because I've stuck it down, but I don't really know what I'm going to do. One of the really cool 3x4 pocket cards had the 3 banners on them with the stars. And so I had cut those apart thinking that I would use them somehow to break up some of those words, but I didn't like that. But I really do like this boldness of this color here and how it brings a little bit more bold to where the photo is and draws your attention to the photo. So I cut that card down and I will off camera stamp awesome in there from one of my larger stamp sets. I believe it's from Sketch to Finish, one of the older ones, but I can't swear by it and I didn't write on the back of my layout what it was that I used. I apologize. So I'm going to commit to these labels because I have figured out, or my son helped me figure out, the swimmers' names and ages, and so that all goes down the page. I am also off camera. I feel like I need a little bit of black on that left-hand side because there's so much black in the photo. So I'm going to take my typewriter number stickers and I'm going to use those to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so the order that they swam in each of those labels from the May labels there. And you can see I've pulled the circles over and I go back and forth with these circles, but I am going to actually ultimately end up using them. So here I thought I was going to build a vertical strip to work with the vertical strips that I've got on the left-hand side and the right-hand side over that photo, but I don't like the way that it breaks up those words. While I'm okay with breaking up words, I wanted some of them to be completely readable, legible? No, not legible, readable. And I lose that if I create that vertical column. So I ditched that idea, and in the process, I come up with the idea to shift the photo up to the top, and there we go. So this is going to be its final resting place for that photo, and then the title will go underneath there. And I thought that maybe those things that I had cut out that I could nestle the title on there, but I don't like the tone-on-tone of that, and so I will problem solve that later. In the meantime, I'm going to tuck these circles in here, and I like the way that the circles again break up that rigidity of all of those vertical lines there that then compete with the horizontal lines in the paper. So I have one of the scalloped banners and I love the way it's the same color from the top to the bottom. I showed you as my hands went down that ties that. So I have a vertical column. It's just the illusion of a column and not a clearly defined column, but I like that visual representation of the column there. I get distracted by all of these things. I know because I'm working with a large color palette, I have a lot of embellishment options, and I get this need to have to use it all when I have that many embellishments. So that's what distracts me. That's my magpie thing when I am designing with a lot of color, and why I personally tend to like to design with maybe 2 or 3 colors there. So I have pulled my Jane Puffy Alphas. These are from a while ago. I want to say these are the coral ones, but I honestly I don't remember. Um, and so I'm going to put Crescendo, and I originally had that under Today is Crescendo Relay Day. It was what I was going to put, but I take it off of Today is Awesome because it doesn't fit in that little white box there. But I get a nice color contrast when I put that directly onto the background paper that I am working on. I am going to speed up some of the lettering because you know me and I do a lot of shuffling of letters, and you do not. Again, this video is lengthy enough as it is, so that just kind of breaks that up some. So Crescendo is going to go straight there, and that is a nice color contrast and ties the red in from the left-hand side to the right-hand side by having that in the center there, and also continues that vertical column that I'm trying to create the illusion of. So I want to raise up the Today is Awesome. I am going to take a fine line pen, and I'm going to just draw a black line around that. Again, my aim is to get a little bit more black in for balance. I love the way that that blue Star Puffy sticker, border sticker there goes with the blue that is going to say Relay on the banner, and again contributes to that visual vertical line that I am looking for there. Off camera, I am also going to add a little bit more blue. I'm going to take a blue label, and that's going to go on the right hand side. You'll see it on the close-ups. That gives me somewhere to house the date very visibly, and I am going to use that #1 sticker that's up in the top left hand side there, and I will nestle that in there as well. So the title is complete now, and it says Crescendo Relay. I was thinking that I would use some of these to just punctuate, add a little bit of color contrast there. I'm actually going to move them down from where they are currently to on either side of Relay. Those are the mini stars in the cool warm color palette, because my word awesome wasn't going to fit there with the stars there. And it just is the same idea there. So that is pretty much going to wrap it up. I'm just going to adhere these things down, and I will also show you, there's my flap, and I'm going to keep that weekend notes from this weekend, and actually I'm going to put that on top of one of the highlights of today things and journal all the way down that, and I think you will see the close-ups of that in one of these close-ups coming up. So thanks for stopping in today. If you have any questions about my process or my design concepts, please don't hesitate to ask them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.